it's Mel, and today I just want to do a quick writing update thing because something happened a day or a couple of days ago that means that I want to talk about my writing and what's been happening. So some of you may or may not know that I have taken part in the last two NaNoWriMos, NaNoWriMo 2014, NaNoWriMo 2015. They are National Novel Writing Month competitions where you try and do 1,600 words every single day, and by the end you should be able to get to 50,000 words. The first year I did it, I wasn't really into the story by the time that I finished it, but I did 50,000 words in 29 days, so I was a day early, and that was great, and I haven't touched that with a 10-foot pole because it was about pixies and orphan boys and fairylands, and it was a bit much, and I'm not really into that, but I'm not gonna like delete my work because it's a story that I can work with in the future, maybe. And then for 2015 I did this cool story about witches in this school for witches, and it's not like really cheesy or anything, but it's basically stemmed from the idea that everyone in Harry Potter would never be able to integrate themselves into Muggle society because they don't have any qualifications. So it would be like a witch school that you had to take maths, but you also had to take like history of magic at like the same time. So you're doing an essay on vampires and an essay on biology and stuff. Like, I thought that was really cool. And then I also really want to add really diverse characters into my writing because my goal in life is to create things like movies or television shows which have people being reflected in them that maybe don't see themselves reflected in the media very often. Because I recently got like really sad and angry at the same time about Marvel films because I absolutely love them, if you couldn't tell by that, and that little Bucky figure that I have. And I like really love everything Marvel, but I got really sad because I read this article about how the Russo brothers are calling the Bucky-Steve relationship a relationship and a love story, but then saying, but like in a brotherly way. And I was like, but that doesn't really check out. And about how there isn't really that much diversity in Marvel films because in the Avengers they have one lady Avenger for the first like 5 films, and then they kind of get another one by the second film, and then they kind of get another one by the third Captain America film, but she's not really an Avenger, and they keep adding people, but those 3 women, like, that aren't any women of colour, they're just white women, and one's been experimented on all her life, and one's an assassin, and one was in this organisation that was actually full of Nazis. So, you know, not the greatest start. The only other races other than white people are 3 black guys, and none of them are technically Avengers yet. So the Russo brothers were going on about how the fans can interpret the relationship between Bucky and Steve however they wanted, but they were never going to explicitly say that it was a romantic connection. And I just think that it would be so easy because like all 3 Captain America films have revolved around the fact that Steve is doing these things for Bucky. It would just be so easy if he was having a conversation with one of his other friends and said, no, you don't understand, I'm in love with him. Like, that would be so easy, and it would be so important for all of these children that love superheroes and haven't seen themselves reflected, and it might help people who think that like there's something wrong with them and stuff. It would be so great, but they're not going to do that because they don't want to. And I don't think that they understand what it would mean to all these people. Anyway, I'm getting upset. So I really want to put out things which have diversity in them and stuff like that. So I included all of these different races and genders and sexualities, like literally a lot of them. And I have a trans Korean girl. She's like one of my favourites. And I don't have a single straight white guy in the entire book. Like, even minor characters, there aren't any. But then during NaNoWriMo 2015, my computer did this weird thing where basically all my work was deleted. Like, I couldn't find the document anywhere on my laptop, and I was kind of freaked out until my mum managed to find this thing because I go on this website called Word Counter and I like copy my work into it to see like what words I'm using like excessively, and like it tells you the age range of your writing level. So I just reached like 27,000 words and then it all just disappeared, and I was like really kind of panicking, but like in a calm sort of way. And then my mum found the 17,000 words, so I've had 17,000 words, but I don't really like how I was writing because I didn't really stick to the whole chapter by chapter plan that I did, and it went a bit messed up because I didn't like what I'd written as the plan. So I went on Pinterest and looked up ways for plotting stories like better, and I found this thing called the Snowflake Method, where you write like a sentence for like the whole story, and then you write like a paragraph from that, and then you write paragraphs from those paragraphs, and it's kind of complicated, but then you write like full pages of information on each of your main characters. So that was cool. And then my English teacher came in on the first day back from the Easter holidays and started talking about how she entered this writing contest for the Daily Mail where you could win £20,000 in a book deal, and all you had to do was submit the first 5,000 words from your story and a summary to this place. And I was like, 5,000 words? Like last year I wrote 5,000 words in a day. I couldn't write 5,000 words in a week. And I had already started kind of writing it over the last like couple weeks, and I already had like the first bit that I wanted. I really just wanted to take it from the first bit and like change it up a little bit, but then I also like really wanted to be able to write similarly to Maggie Stiefvater, because her writing is like what I aim to be, because it's so poetic and beautiful. So I looked at her books and she has prologues, and those prologues are different and they're like really interesting. And I wrote a prologue that wasn't from any character's perspective like the rest of the book was, and then I showed the people, like the TAs in my class and that have like studied English at Cambridge, and she said that it was a great use of a prologue, so I was like really encouraged. I wrote exactly 5,000 words and I got like a full stop right when I needed to, and it was a really intense moment, and that was kind of like how I wanted it to end for like them reading it, because they would probably want to go like, whoa, what is happening, I need more of this. And I finished writing it the day that it needed to be submitted. I finished writing it at like 1:30 and it needed to be like in London delivered by like 5:30, so I double spaced it, which caused it to be like a lot of just like blank spaces, and I typed up like a cover for it and stuff, and we sent it via taxi, and it was all intense. So technically now I have submitted my first manuscript and you could win £20,000, but also I'm going up against my English teacher, and I've gotten back into writing even though I really need to revise for my GCSEs, and also I've been really into Pinterest boards for my characters and my stories, but also like other books that I've read, like The Raven Boys. So if you are wondering what my story is about, I will link the Pinterest board of it because it might intrigue you. And apparently when I was reading Maggie Stiefvater's prologues and then my prologue, it sounded like I was reading like the same author's stuff, so like that's hopefully good. I hope this video wasn't too boring, because I just really wanted to talk about my writing stuff and what I've been doing recently, and yes. So technically I've sent off my first manuscript, which is kind of freaky, but I hope you enjoyed this little updatey video type thing. Bye!